Now, I have heard about this a few times from a lot of different people, and yes, I seen it, and I thought I kind of have to touch on the subject of why didn't I mention the fact, especially considering I covered the Acjago Prime. Actually, I think I've just butchered the name of that because I can't even remember if that's the correct weapon I'm thinking of, but why did I never cover the Prime Gram, especially considering, ooh, up until whips became a thing, actually probably just beforehand, the Gram was my main weapon. I used the Gram for the longest of time. The Gram, the Heck, and the Viper were my most used weapons for the longest of time. I think the Vipers are still actually my most used secondary, even though I haven't used them in years now, because I used them so much in the early days. I just haven't passed the point where any single secondary has been used more. The same as the whip that I use, the Skoliak, still my most used melee. I think obviously you would have seen it on the screen because I'm not in game to actually check on these. Should probably have fact checked that first, but that was my most used melee because I haven't used anything to go past it. The Gram, the main reason I didn't cover it is there is one picture of it, and it's the new shape Gram, not the one that I used to use all the time. Still looks really good, don't get me wrong on that one. I'm kind of excited for this coming out, but this also has an insane amount of things to go up against. And let's not beat around the bush with this. Yes, love this weapon. It still suffers the same problem it always did. It has a slow attack speed, not that much damage wise either, but let's not beat around the bush. The war exists. No going around it, getting around it, or anything else. It is a thing that is existing, it is out there, and, well, it's pretty much better in every single way. It is a tiny little bit slower, but it has an extra 5% crit. Granted, its damage block is pretty much minuscule. That is where the Gram, 170% block damage, yeah, it's going to block everything. It doesn't, but by that math, it should. So I'm assuming that will be looked at and repaired with the Gram before it's actually released. The War has 5% more status. It does 112 impact, 24 slash. Yeah, you can see the slash and impact. Obviously, the War is a impact based, the Gram is a slash based, but it does more impact than the Gram does total damage. Not off to a very great start. And there are, of course, other big heavy swords, but there is one in particular that I wanted to concentrate on, which is sadly one of the DIY ones. Oh, I actually completely forgot about the Galatine Prime. It has to at least come close to the Galatine Prime stats when it is released. So it has to have a higher attack speed, so 0.950 has to go up to at least 1, which is going to save the Gram altogether. It has to have at least 20% crit chance, 20% status chance, a little bit of an increase on damage, but I mean, this is one of the reasons the Gram is an old weapon that has been lost in time, because it just doesn't do the same kind of damage as other weapons do. But if we compare it to the Gram is still way better. It has less crit chance, but has more status, but it does more slash damage, and it is quicker. The Galatine Prime obviously does a lot more damage. It's a Prime version, it's supposed to, but this is why I have kind of tried to ignore it and not cover it, because it's like, what's the best way I can put this while I try and look for my... Where is my... And just to kind of prove this is a heavy blade, there is the heavy blade stance in the heavy... yeah. Granted, it is a Tsar, so it is one of those custom weapons. Insane amount of crit chance because I built it that way. It has a little bit less status, but it does more damage. There is not a heavy bladed sword that doesn't do more damage than the Gram, which is a huge shame because this thing was the best weapon. Well, That is actually straight up a lie. In the early days of Warframe, one of the best melees was actually the big battle axe, but it was slower, which is why I preferred the Gram more than anything else, because look at it. The reskin of it made it look so much nicer than it did before, which was much nicer as well. But I can't help but notice the 170% block chance disappeared as soon as I've clicked on anything else. Nope, it's still 85, so why was it coming up at 100 something? That's what it used to look like. It used to look like the plasma sword. I knew it was in there somewhere. That's a little bit better there. It's just showing the stats now rather than the really badly upgraded version. But even though I'm really looking forward to the Gram Prime, and I mean the Gram itself after the rework, the reskin, did look really nice, but it's like a childhood memory of a game that you played with friends, family, whatever it is, and you remember it being an amazing game, and then you go back and play with it years later, and it's like, wow, why did I enjoy this? I really hope that the Gram Prime is better. Okay, it might not be Galatine level good, because that is better than the base Prime was to begin with. That is, the base Galatine is better than the base Gram is, so it's never going to be an amazing weapon, but if it's got a 1.0 attack speed, 20% crit, 20% status, it needs a lot more damage though. I don't know. Obviously we will find out when this thing comes out, but yes, I'm looking forward to it, but no, I'm kind of not, because my memories of this weapon are really good, and I'm scared they may actually completely ruin that, which would just straight up suck. But we'll have to see what happens when it does come out and how graceful they are with this weapon. But we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.